nervous because I'm here now.
Hey guys, welcome into another episode of 410 Sports Talk. James Haskell, Glenn Martin. We're really excited to get into some Ravens news. We've been dark for a couple days. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our live show with Ing Raven. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. We had an absolute blast talking about the Ravens' upcoming needs.
On his channel. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Check it out on his channel. But today we are here to talk about we've been talking about the coaching departures.
Mm-hmm.
And it, not at the primary level, but what I would consider the secondary level as far as like strict positional coaches and things like that. But today we're here to talk about the hires and the exciting news behind that. So the Ravens have hired 4 new coaches, and Glenn's going to go ahead and break down who those guys are, and we'll give our thoughts on it. But before we do, make sure you go ahead, take a second, hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications on, because the Ravens offseason is hot and heavy. The NFL offseason obviously is hot and heavy, and there's a ton of breaking news, so you can stay up to date. Give us a like and also leave your comments below. But Glenn, why don't we break down these 4 new hires? What do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm going to start with our new assistant defensive line coach, Jason Brooks, who is the son of a very popular former coach, Clarence Brooks, who was the D-line coach here from 2005 to 2015 before tragically passing away in 2016. Big impact on the organization. A bunch of players look at him as their favorite coach of all time. So bringing back a Raven, really bringing back Jason Brooks, the son of Clarence, who's been here before. He spent a few years here from 2009 to 12 under Harbaugh as an offensive assistant, working with the receivers and running backs. And last season, he was at Charleston Southern, and he helped them set a bunch of records. They set the season sack record. He had $3 earn, all Big South honors. So definitely, grinding at the collegiate level, and we're happy to see him back here. Helping out the Ravens as the assistant D-line coach, helping out Anthony Weaver, who's the new D-line coach. So it's cool to see some, it's like a family member. It reminds me of when they got Big O Jr. It's like, it's always cool to see. And of course, Harbaugh's love for Clarence Brooks. If you ever want to see, check that out, look up the way he talks about Clarence Brooks. So that was pretty cool. And then Jay Peterson brought in to be the assistant linebacker coach, another young guy. And I'm excited about this guy. He spent the last 2 seasons at Wayne State's as their linebacker coach. He's a long-time collegiate coach. He spent time at a lot of different programs: Eastern Michigan, Miami of Ohio, Illinois State, Northwestern. He's bounced all around. He's, of course, a graduate of Miami, Ohio, as is John Harbaugh. But what I think is cool about bringing in Jay Peterson is obviously the Ravens just hired Rob Ryan to be their linebacker coach. Well, Rob Ryan's an older guy, old school guy, and now he's going to be working directly with a lot of young guys. So I think having Jay Peterson as the assistant linebacker coach is just really going to help be like a buffer, or be like a link between Rob, who's old school and probably generationally very different from the kids he's about to be coaching, whereas Jay has that recent relationship, knows a lot of these college recruits, and can be the kind of buffer or link between the two, and really cut his teeth and try and make a name for himself in the league. So I love having this youth movement, but really outside of those two, we got some two pretty exciting ones, because as the Ravens have worked through this offseason, they of course lost David Culley, who was the passing game coordinator and wide receiver coach to the Houston Texans, where he went to be the head coach. And boy, I mean, that was maybe the most that was kind of he was a lightning rod for criticism from the fan bases, from analysts, and from former Ravens. Steve Smith recently went on Rich Eisen and expressed or told a story about when he was a Pro Bowler, and John Harbaugh was actually the special teams coordinator for the Pro Bowl that year. And he said, go over and help out the receivers. They had lost a player. I believe he was injured, and they needed another receiver. And Steve Smith happily ran over there. And David Culley was the receiver coach for the Pro Bowl at the time. And he shooed him away, saying, no, this room is not for special teamers. This is for wide receivers, which, of course, if anyone knows Steve Smith, he took great offense to that, did not like it, and said that basically David Culley's eye for talent is as good as Ray Charles's eyes, and really questioned his. So the Ravens have replaced David Culley with not one coach, but 2. Keith Williams is now the new Ravens passing game coordinator. And Williams has extensive experience, Jimbo. He's
Yeah.
worked with a lot of receivers. He's been a receiver coach for 18 years at the collegiate level, including stops at Nebraska, Tulane, Fresno State. But more recently, Jimmy, this is the exciting part for the fans, and I'm sure you're excited to hear this as well.
Hmm.
He has become a renowned personal wide receiver coach for several top NFL wide receivers, including the Chiefs' Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs' Sammy Watkins, and maybe the best receiver in the league right now, Packers' Devontae Adams. So when you hear that, Jimmy, when
Mm.
you hear that this guy is not, I mean, this guy is developing receivers, something the Ravens have not done in their history very well. What do you think when you hear that he's the coach for Hill, Watkins, and Adams?
No, I like it on a number of levels. Number one is that it makes me think of last year in the offseason, we got ran on, or sorry, excuse me, at the end of the year, we got ran on by Derrick Henry. It's, we lost to Tennessee, got ran on, and the front office said, we're not letting this happen again. And so this year, all the criticism has been around the passing game, the development of the receivers, and things like that. So they're not letting this happen again. I mean, obviously, he's a big move. He's a big time acquisition as far as the coaching staff, but the fact that he's one of two, and we'll get into the other guy, that in and of itself, I think, is a statement. I'm excited because all of these guys that we're going to name, if I can jump ahead for a second, they have extensive work in the college space where I think you kind of touched on this, but this year off season, when you're preparing for the draft, it was like 7 games, 6 games. There wasn't, there's not going to be a combine. A lot of things are more difficult. Yep. So bring in as many minds as you can, bring in as many guys as you can that have had eyes on these players. And then the second part of that is I think that it's going to be really interesting because teaching or having a strategy is one thing, but breaking it down and teaching it is another. And I think that's where all 4 of these guys are really going to make their impact. Because like you said, Rob is there, a seasoned guy. Greg Roman is still the man when it comes to our offense, but a seasoned guy. So breaking it down so it's digestible for these young guys is, I think, going to be important. And last thing I'll say, Glenn, and we'll get into the other guy, but this is an indicator to me that I don't know if the Ravens are ready to just say it's all about the talent that we have, instead of saying it's about the development of the talent. So I think it will be interesting how this plays into the draft and free agency.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a really good point. Limited tape all across college. I mean, some teams really didn't play a ton of ball, and with no combine, just really basing on pro bowls. I mean, I'm sorry, pro days, which who knows with travel restrictions if you can even be represented at every pro day. I mean, I think the Ravens will try to, but who knows how that'll work out. I think that's a good point. And then the next guy that they brought in to coach the wide receivers, T. Martin. I'm sure if you're a fan of college football, you've heard that name floating around. He's the former offensive coordinator at USC. Back when USC was still good and not, dead last in recruiting in the Pac-12, which is just mind-blowing, the fact that they've fallen as far as they have. But last time he was there, he led them to a Pac-12 championship and took them to the Cotton Bowl. So, certainly impressed there. And then he most recently was with the Tennessee Volunteers, where he helped make improvements across the board offensively. They saw an increase in production, total offense, passing yards, rushing yards, scoring, third down conversion. Now I'm sure there's a lot of coaches there, but he definitely played a part in it. They rave about his charisma, his natural leadership. He's been a college assistant in the league. He also spent 4 years as an NFL backup in the league. So this guy has been around players. And now most recently, he's also become a personal coach, a wide receiver coach for guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, Nelson Aguilar, Robert Woods, Randall Cobb, and his son, who's one of the higher wide receiver prospects coming out of Clemson this year, Amari Rodgers, which he will definitely be in the top end of this draft. So it's just awesome to see, like you said, more young guys. I think the biggest thing with coaching, Jimmy, isn't communication like maybe the number one thing with coaching. Well, if you have, I like how you put that, Rob Ryan, there's no doubt he brings strategy. He brings wisdom. He brings all this. But with that age gap and all that, their communication may be a little difficult. Well, these guys kind of can fill in all
Mhm.
those communications gap because these guys know how to talk to them. They've seen them. All four of these guys are so tuned in at the college level. They have such an amount of information about all these players that some of these NFL guys just won't have. So, man, I'm excited, man. I mean, I think when you mentioned this just shows and you're right. It reminds us of the commitment they made to stop the run in the
Yeah.
offseason this past year. They're saying we're done with this inept passing attack, and these
Mhm.
guys are going to really, really ramp it up. And how awesome is it to be when you think about they now hired two bona fide wide receiver coaches that have shown to be able to develop guys, and they're bringing in to an organization that has shown they cannot develop wide receivers outside of Torrey Smith, one blip on the radar, 1,100-yard season. That's the best they got. So
Right.
I'm excited. I bet Hollywood's excited. If I'm Miles Boykin, if I'm Duvernay, if I'm James Prochet, all those
Mhm.
guys should be pumped, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because once again, I think it shows confidence in a couple things. I believe that the Ravens and John Harbaugh, and I know you were talking about Lightning Rod earlier. I know his name is Lightning Rod, but I know the Ravens. I believe that John and the Ravens have confidence in Greg Roman as a coordinator,
Mm-hmm.
as a play caller, the ability to, execute a game plan that's going to win a football game, or to call a game that's going to, execution's up to the players. But so to me, what it says is that, okay, we're not going to throw away the baby with the bathwater, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to change up everything, but we're going to get the absolute most out of what we have here in house as far as the players goes. Like you said, the player development is really what it comes down to, because look, you can have the most intricate scheme in the world, but if guys can't win one-on-one battles in the NFL,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean too much. So I mean, these guys got to be excited. They're going to get, I think, some of the best coaching that's available to them. Think,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, these guys are getting paid thousands and thousands of dollars to have one-on-one sessions with, by professional players. Now they get it every single day. And the coolest part to me is that what's going to help these young coaches out. Think about the secondary they're going to be working
Mm.
against every single day.
Yep.
So I'm more excited about this, Glenn, than I would be about us getting, paying a guy 18 million a year for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Because I think this is much more sustainable. This is how you become a good team
Mm-hmm.
for a long time. So, man, I'm excited. I'm all for it.
Yeah. I mean, I want to take this gives me more hope that they're going to continue to take more shots at the wide
Mm-hmm.
receiver position. I know that, some fans are kind of disheartened by the lack of success, but I like Eric saying that doesn't mean we give up. That doesn't mean we stop taking shots. I think this, you keep taking shots at that position. And also I think what this does is it shows me Greg Roman is willing, and maybe that's out of his hands. Maybe Harbaugh is forcing this, but I like to think that maybe Greg Roman is more willing to accept outside help and maybe get some help on some of the shortcomings he may have, develop a passing scheme and developing a passing offense. So that's exciting. But what I think also what they did was they did it in a way where he doesn't have to be looking over his shoulder. There's not a bona fide
Yeah.
former offensive coordinator who's called plays in this league being brought in. No, they're bringing in young guys. And what these young guys can do, Jimmy, is after a couple years of learning, these guys could be candidates to take over as the OC if Greg Roman say they bounce back and have another year like they did in 19 and 2021. Well, I think Greg Roman may be getting some more coaching interviews like he did at the end of 2019. Well, now you got two in-house candidates that could learn from him and take over if that day ever does come, which is a lot of people would think what Anthony Weaver was brought in to do
Yeah.
under Wink is to be
Right.
that next DC if Wink is ever promoted and elevated to head coach elsewhere. So,
Well, let me ask you a couple questions here, Glenn. I
yeah.
want to get your take on here. I know this excites you, but obviously this is still Greg Roman's offense. And I guess you're right. Some of it could be out of his hands in that uh, he might not have the ability to say, well, this is my thing, like let me run my ship and have the autonomy that he wants. But does it make you nervous that, to me, it seems like a nod that the Ravens have confidence in Greg, that they didn't hire a guy that could just, well, if he screws the pooch, right, somebody could just step in. Like, does that frustrate you that they should have been doing that already? Or do you feel better about it than not? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel good about it. I know that our last Super Bowl run came with a coordinator change right near the end of the season. So I understand that some fans would like to have a guy who's shown he can call plays on the staff. But at the same time, to me, if Harbaugh's showing that kind of confidence in Roman, that makes me, because I have confidence in Harbaugh. So
yeah,
I know a lot of fans are maybe frustrated that they didn't get it. But look, that's just because they haven't done it before doesn't necessarily mean if need be they couldn't call a game. At the pro level. But I think this is like Greg Roman. We're giving you every bit of support you can ask for. We're giving you young guys that that are developing, coming from the collegiate level. Which, look, we see more and more glimpses of the college offense leaking up into the NFL. These NFL coaches never thought they'd have to deal with these kind of systems in the league, and now you're seeing more and more college schemes being brought up just because it makes it easier for these rookies and young guys to help their team if they're running similar schemes. So, I think that, I think it's I think they're telling Roman, you're getting all the support and if if it doesn't work out this year, then you're gone. But we're going to give you every bit of help you could need to be successful. And we're going to see if this is going to work. And if not, we'll move on next year and find someone else. But he should be happy. Greg Roman should be really happy. I'd rather have Keith Williams and T. Martin than David Culley all day, every day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I mean, if it just amazes to me. I don't know how David Culley had this reputation. I mean, everyone, when you ask coaches, when you ask John, they rave about him. But if you just look at the track record, just look at the numbers, Jimmy, he hasn't been good really at any stop. I mean, it's mind-boggling how he keeps getting these incredible opportunities to coach, man.
The power of articulation is really, I think, is what's vaulted, that's sustained his career. Being a great communicator and being positive can make up for, I'm not saying that he lacks intelligence or strategic ability or anything like that, but to be in the
results,
right? So can make up for a lot of other pitfalls. You know what I mean? To be able to put that front up, it can help for sure.
I mean, you just look, I don't know. I mean, look at the Chiefs before, or, when they had him as their receiver coach, they had no receiving touchdowns for an entire season as a wide receiver group.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pathetic. And then he's here. He's our passing game coordinator. We have the worst passing game in the league.
And then he gets a head coaching job.
And he gets a head coaching job.
But the only thing I will say is that the one thing that I find interesting, and we won't talk about this too long, but the one thing I think is interesting about David Culley is everyone talks about how he's never been a coordinator. Harbaugh was never a coordinator.
Right.
So, I mean, it's like, so for everyone to say that.
But they use that ammo against Harbaugh.
That's what I mean. But for in the national media, for people to say that, I get it. But like for Ravens fans to say it and then turn around and praise Harbaugh is like, hey guys, like it was the exact same thing that happened with John. Not saying that he's John, but
definitely
you understand my point.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys let us know what you think here. Are you excited? Are you as excited as we are about these coaching acquisitions? I tell you what, like Glenn said, I'm getting excited to see what this preseason, what this upcoming offseason looks like, and what kind of jumps our guys make at wide receiver and the passing game in general. So give us your thoughts. You excited about it? You not? Somewhere in between. Leave your comments below, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.